All right. Good morning, everybody, on this May 2nd. Okay, May 2nd. Wow. The fifth month of the year is upon us. We've already been through 4, so we're 1/3 through the year. Hopefully you're at 1/3 your goals, but you don't have to be to still achieve your goals because now we're in the busiest time of the year. Okay. We are very fortunate today she's coming live from us from the positive energy vortex of the universe, otherwise known as Sedona. All right, Nisreen, did you hit star 6?
I did.
Oh, there you are. Good. Okay, Nisreen Hawley, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. All right, Nisreen.
Thanks for having me, Rick.
Tell us a little about yourself. Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. It's a treat having you. You're killing it up there. We know that. So let's get into that a little bit. Tell them a little about yourself and how long you've been doing this and all that good stuff.
Sure. Well, I got my license here in Arizona in 1999 in June, but I joined Berkshire Hathaway about 5 years ago, and I did that after some pretty big life changes, and it really just reset. You know, I regrouped and reset and started a whole new real estate career, you know, in 2017. So there's that saying, right, that life begins at 40. and that was really true for me because, you know, before that, you know, I was married to Patrick. We had our own brokerage. We were running this machine, and it was very successful, but it was a completely different experience than the one I have now, being out there just myself. So, you know, after the divorce and I had 2 little kids, I took a break from real estate for a while, and I started doing these classes online for marketing, for social media marketing. And of course, taking classes online wasn't going to pay my bills. So I was also baking wedding cakes and cupcakes and making chocolates and pastries for some local restaurants. So after I finished my classes and the kids were, you know, back in school, and in 2017, I reactivated my license and joined Berkshire Hathaway. But I was able to then take all I learned in my classes and all my baking and my real estate and roll it all together.
And that's the key. And I was just going to say that's you've rolled it all together. And just so everybody understands, Patrick, this is not confusing for the Sedona agents. Yeah. Patrick, okay, Holly, also is an agent there, but he used to be the manager, and now we have Patrick. So it's gone from Patrick to Patrick.
Yeah, it's not confusing at all.
No. Everybody was calling Patrick already anyway, so I guess it's okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, and before we started, we talked a little bit about how you feel like you have, you know, like the 2-part career. And I think you just explained that second part, which is once you got back into it, and let everybody know too, you're the number 1 agent in that office, and you finished, what was your number last year in all of Arizona? You were up there.
In the top 100, I was number 10.
You were number 10, right. So you were top 10. Top 10.
Yep.
I knew you were up there. I was going to say 9, but I wanted to make sure we got it right. So just so they understand what production level you're at, and with 1,100 agents in Arizona, that's incredible. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So tell us a little about, because, you know, like I feel like I've tasted one of your cupcakes, but I haven't yet. I can't wait to, honestly, because I've seen them, and you have a lot of professionalism in there. You have fun doing it. You do great stuff about your clients. So tell them a little about that second half and how you've got out of the gate since 2017 really hot. I think they'd like to hear that.
Yeah, for sure. So when I came back in, I sent out some postcards to people, just like handwritten cards saying, you know, I'm back in real estate, and if you need anything or you have any questions. And pretty much right away, all of my clients that I was baking for and things like that, and then the clients that I was helping teach the social media classes to, I let them all know I'm back in real estate. And the best story is my very first sale when I reactivated in 2017. It came pretty quickly. A couple came in to, purchase something at a store. They were staying at Airbnb. They mentioned that they wanted to move here. And the retail clerk at the store was a client of mine from, purchasing suites. and said, oh, I know this great agent, and gave him my name. And then they went for a drive to go have lunch in Old Town. And while they were having lunch, they also mentioned to their server, who was very friendly with them, that they wanted to move there. And she gave them my name. And then after lunch, they went down the street shopping some more, and they stopped at one of our wine tasting rooms. And they mentioned that it was such a great town and they wanted to move here. And that person gave them my name. So
wow.
they called me and said, we had no choice but to call you. And
wow.
And all these
awesome.
These people either knew me because I made sweets for their restaurant, or I had helped their business, with social media marketing. So it just really expanded my sphere, and it really showed me personally the importance of that relationship building with people. Because the majority of my business is like that. It's just people referring me, and other agents, even from other brokerages who have stepped down from doing real estate and retired, have sent me all of their buyers or sellers or, clients that still will reach out to them instead of turning them back over to somebody in their office, because, we've built a relationship.
Right. And it's such a great point that so it sounds to me like the relationship building part is the most important, although the social media and the mailing, it's like casting a net. But once you are in contact with them, building that relationship is kind of real important.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that the new agents who come on that I mentor say every time without fail, this is so overwhelming, like all the things we need to learn. But then I just let them know you don't have to learn everything at once, right? It's like
right.
that, like your top 3 things, like pick 3 things, master those, then, make another list of 3 things, master those. But definitely combining these 3 things, marketing, baking, and just putting myself out there was the key for me. Those are my 3 that really helped me along.
It sounds like you you took 2 of your past lives, so to speak, with your baking. So you have clients and customers and connections there that you went out of your way to notify. And a lot of people listening to the call, or that will listen to the call, very few people start in real estate. You know what I mean? So they have other careers, or that they can definitely call and contact. And then you had your social media, which you were doing for other people. And which leads me to my next question. Tell us a little about that. So I see you on everything: Instagram, Facebook. I see you on TikTok, Twitter. Tell them a little bit about how you do yours, so they can get an understanding of what's involved.
Well, I used to teach a class, and I'm doing another class in the office on social media, which takes a while, but just kind of a watered down version is with social media is to be authentic, to be yourself. And to just take, really, if you have 10 minutes, maybe a day, that's all you have to devote to it, to just put something out there, to keep your pages active. There are algorithms, obviously, Facebook uses. If you use a robot, to schedule all your posts for you, or you have a social media manager in Florida that's posting for you in Arizona, it's not going to get that kind of reach. You really have to do it. You're the best person to market yourself. Nobody else can promote you like you can promote yourself. So that's number 1. Set aside the time, do it yourself, and then switch it up. Don't always be posting, I'm selling this, I sold this. I tell my team, my group that I mentor, to just remember to stay on target, and then we use that word stay and to remember what our content is. So S is something you sold or something you're selling. T is a teaching tool, like talking about, interest rates or loan programs or home inspections, or something you can teach to a buyer or seller. A is just a fun thing that you appreciate. It could be going out to a local business and saying, I really love, the way they roast their coffee in-house at, such and such cafe. And then Y, of course, is you. something personal about you, a little story, a picture, what you're doing today, just keep it moving and different so that the content is not always the same thing every day.
Right. Okay, cool. I love it. I love acronyms. I'll remember that one for sure. I do. I love acronyms and anything that rhymes too. I like that too. Anyway, so awesome.
No, you
stuff.
do a
really
good job of that.
that.
You do a good job of that. I saw you rocking out.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that way. You know what? And honestly, the Bobby Dust, who I've had on the show too, she's the woman. She's awesome. She could ask me, so she asked me to play, and I said, hey, I'm gonna, because I played for The Office before. I don't know if you remember. I did one song at the Arizona Awards, and I've done it in Nevada and California, but that wasn't really my type of music, Bruno Mars. So I said, you want me to do an hour set? I'm gonna have to play classic. She goes, no, that's exactly what I'm asking you. It's the theme. I'm like, okay. So they had to. So it was fun, but more importantly, like you just said, Nisreen, it was a social media total event, and I'll be sharing videos and stuff like that for weeks to come because people like to see who you are outside of your job, right? So like you, I see you involve your children, right? You do a little of that too, don't you?
Yeah. They're my biggest helpers for sure. They help me with packaging up my pop buys for my clients, and they're my biggest fans. They keep me going.
That's great too, and that's kind of like and a lot of women are thinking because you have two children, right? A boy and a girl.
Yes. Yeah.
And what are their ages?
My son is 14 and my daughter is 11.
Okay, so you have one teenager and one. Well, actually, she's a girl. She's already a teenager at 11, right? You know that.
Yeah.
All right. So, so how do you fit that in? I mean, it sounds like you involve them in your business.
Yeah, I do. And, part of the reason that I had taken that break earlier was they both had not been back to school with the full schedule yet. And it's really, in real estate, I know a lot of people try to do it part-time, and that's great. You can do it. But if you want it to be your career, you really have to go all in. So once they were old enough to be in school all day, that gave me a big block of time, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. every day that I could be all in. And now that they're a little bit older and they don't need me for everything, it's helpful. So
right.
If I have to go out after 4 or 4:30 or something, they're good, to be able to take care of themselves. So.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. I agree with you 100%, but you can be full-time, and full-time doesn't mean obsessed and a workaholic 80 hours a week. It just means you're working 40, 50 hours a week or 35. Right, and getting it done and then involving your kids into is something you can definitely do. I love it. All right, so brings me to my favorite question. You probably know it. It was on the little thing. Top 3 things. So as a top producer like yourself, and the great thing about you, and you're in a very specialized market. It's different. It's a little different too. So maybe some people that are in that type of market would love to hear these 3 top things that you would focus on to be successful, in this, especially with what's going on with everything with social media. What would be the 3 most important things you'd tell them?
So the 3 most important things, I think, there's a list, I think, of 100 important things I always want to tell agents. But so I did spend some time last night narrowing this down. I would
Thank
say,
you.
Yeah, get organized. Time management is so important, and whatever that means to you, it can be different. I know some of these time management things can even seem overwhelming because all these schedulers online and everything. But even if it's just making yourself Post-it notes or lists, try to schedule out your day and just know, like, I'm 8 to 8:30, I'm doing this podcast with Rick, and then at 9 I'm talking to people that my sellers at this house about the multiple offers we received this weekend, and just block off the time. And I try to leave myself a little window between those so that I have some breathing room in case there's traffic or or another phone call that's urgent, that a fire needs to be put out. They found motor oil in a septic tank on an inspection recently. Like when you got to put in the extra time to find a place to, that can help you clean that out. Yeah. So just organize your day and leave a little space between things so that you're not overwhelmed. Just try to make it easier on yourself like that with the time management. Mm-hmm. That's probably number one. And two is build relationships. And it's really a broad thing, but across the board. Build relationships with other agents inside your brokerage, find a mentor, build relationships with other agents outside of your brokerage. There are so many days that I'll just go grab a coffee. I'll have a 30-minute chat with an agent in another brokerage, and we just talk about those type of things, like how do you handle that? How do you handle motor oil in a septic tank, or how do you handle this thing sinking? And we just kind of brainstorm with each other, and building those bridges with agents and other brokerages is a lot more important, I think, than people realize. And then building relationships with your clients, doing the pop buys, doing the phone calls on the birthdays, sending the happy home anniversary text messages, just keep building bridges.
Right. There's no benefit in burning any, especially in this business, especially you're in a small town there too. I mean, it makes no sense ever, golden rule wise, but yeah, especially if you're going to be in this business for a while.
No, I mean, it really is surprising to me, and you probably see it in the really large agent groups that have tens of thousands of agents from all over the country. Some of them come on there and ask, or they don't accept friend requests or follow other agent real estate pages because they feel like they're competition. But I think that's doing a disservice to your buyers and sellers, because you might see it coming soon, or it's something that's a perfect match for them. I mean, you really have to follow each other and support each other. It's best for everyone.
I agree. Good. I love it. All right, cool. Okay, so that's number 2. Go ahead.
That's number 2. So number 3 is actively listen. And that's also to everybody. I mean, actively, everybody wants to be seen and heard, but I really think they just want to be heard the most, more than anything. To your clients, to the other agents, really, really listen. And I say that I had a huge weekend. This weekend, I had an open house 2 days at a brand new listing, and we were so busy. And I can't tell you, there are 2 different kinds of agents that come through the open house. And the agent with the notebook or the clipboard who's writing down their client's questions, and if they don't know the answer, they're getting it later. I love those agents. I love, love, love them. And then there are other agents who walk their clients through, and the agent is talking the entire time, that I don't know how their client could ask a question. So I really can't stress enough to the agents I'm mentoring, be quiet and just listen and take notes. You can listen to what they're saying, even to each other, what they like and what they don't like, so that you can make, better choices for them. If you take them to a house and somebody brought a couple to the house, clearly wasn't a match for them. And maybe that's the first house they looked at, and maybe she learned from that, what else that she could show them. But actively listen. That's super important.
I love it. Actively listen. That's why I teach that repeat and approve thing, which really helped me, the massive ADHD brain, to listen to people, because I have to repeat back a small portion of what they say. And when you get in that pattern, it definitely lets people know you're listening. Yeah. All right, so getting organized, the first one. So time block schedule, what do you use for yours? Do you just use the Google Map or the Google Calendar, or do you have something different?
So I use 3 things. 3 is the number for sure. I have my notebook that I keep with me all the time, because out here we can't always get on the internet, even from our phones. There are definitely areas where we don't have service in the vortex. So
the positive vortex. I love it.
Yeah. So I keep my notebook with me, and I take notes. And then sometimes those are notes that I use to go in and set up a search for a client, or I might go back into the Google Calendar and schedule a meeting. I do use the Google Calendar, and I use the CRM and that we have provided for us, through the Virtual Agent Center, which is great because it helps with sending out the happy home anniversary messages, the birthday messages, the newsletters. It helps keep me organized for sure. That and my assistant, Melanie, I'm going to give her a big shout out because she keeps me organized too.
Absolutely. All right, cool. And give them a tip for how to build relationships better. Like, what would be a good tip for them to focus on?
So it's just really the smallest things, but find something that's personal to you. I mean, for me, it's the baking, but it's not even always that. So we had a client who purchased a house from us, from one of my team members, and he roasts coffee in town. He's a coffee roaster. So I went and I talked to him, and I got just some small, little half-size bags of roasted coffee beans. And I had a little sticker made that said, "I run on coffee and your referrals." And
wow.
I took him around to all the clients who had purchased from me that year, and I went up to their door personally, knocked on it, gave them a bag of fresh roasted coffee, and talked to them each for, I allotted some time for each person, but I was really surprised how many people invited me in and wanted me to see all the changes they made in their house, and wanted to, and were genuinely concerned, how am I doing? How is my year going? Or they've been following me on social media because if they're online, once we're closed or while we're going through escrow, I'll connect with them there. It's a great way to stay in touch. Yeah.
I love it. And just one more thing, since it's on your list, and I already wrote these down. Actively listen. I mean, I gave you my little way of doing it, but is there any little tip you could give them other than, just listening to people?
Well, my tip is writing it down. And one of the things I've learned over time is when you might hear something and something's lost in translation, like that, in school when you whisper from one person to the next, and then by the time it gets to the last person in class, it's a totally different story, right? But if you write it down, you're not going to forget it, and it commits it to your memory. Even if you don't have to go back into your notebook and look at it, the actual act of writing it down puts it somewhere magical in your brain. So that's why I have a notebook with me all the time. Yeah.
That's why people go, why don't you just give us the, unless I do a 1-day success series, I give them all the answers. But if I do a 5-day, you got to fill out your own book, because I agree with you. When it goes, from the brain down the arm through the hand onto the paper, you remember it much better.
Yeah.
You learn better.
Yeah. Definitely.
Awesome. And then I just have I have one question for you, and I'm thinking because first off, I've been to Sedona a few times. Tina and I have gone for a few weekends. I love it. When you drive into the town and you start seeing, the beautiful landscape, you immediately, it's like soothing. So I agree with the positive energy vortex. It's like a comforting place to be around. And when people go there, especially as of late, I would imagine, that they're like, wow, I can live anywhere, right? Because of a lot of companies letting people do that. You guys probably have had a little influx of people because of that, right?
I think we've had a big influx of people because of that. Definitely. It's, coming in, when I moved here in 99, and I came for 2 or 3 little weekend getaways. And then I went back home to Vegas, which is where I'm from. And I told my folks, I think I'm moving to Sedona, because when I left Sedona, it didn't feel like I was leaving a vacation. It felt like I was leaving home. It really is very, very welcoming to people. So we do get a lot of people coming now that we've always had a lot of part year residents, but it's undeniable, the draw of the feeling of Sedona. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's great. Even like your office, you walk out through that little courtyard there, and you go to that restaurant. I can't think of the name, and just the views alone from that building are crazy.
Yeah, well, the 2 restaurants we have there both have amazing views. The Javelina Cantina, which is always a favorite in our office, and the Hudson. Yeah.
Yeah, It's beautiful. What a great place to live. And I know that when you mentioned the traffic, people think Sedona. Yeah, there's traffic. You pull in there, you got to wait to go around those rotaries right. But it's worth it. It's not that long, fortunately. But yeah, I'm trying to think
what
of
have you? What have you while you wait?
I was just going to say that a lot of times I'm doing this call from I haven't been to Sedona in 2 years because the pandemic. It's going to be on my schedule for some time this year. But you have the best view from your parking lot. Never mind from anywhere else, just the parking lot.
Yeah. Well, let us know for sure. Give me a couple days heads up, Rick, and I'll make some cupcakes for you.
Okay, deal. My weakness is definitely sweets. Well, Nisreen, I just want to say thank you very much. Any final words you want to leave these people?
You know what? Have fun. It's got to be fun for you. You've got to really love what you do. So if you find yourself stressed out, take a break, regroup, and come back in it, with some love in your heart.
Agree totally. And have a cupcake too. That always helps me.
And have a cupcake too. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you that more doors open for me when I have a bakery box in my hand than any other time. So.
Now, some of the pictures you take, are you using a professional camera, or do you actually just have the best iPhone or Android?
I have, and I wish I could. I think it's a Samsung Galaxy, or no, Samsung, whatever it is, S22 plus whatever the latest Samsung Android is. But I try to use something that my teammate Kylie showed me, which is portrait mode, and so it really zooms in on the item, and then it blurs the background, and it brings the focus.
Oh, that's what it is. So you got the portrait mode on there with the blur. Yeah, because some of them look like it feels like it's right in front of me. They're really good pictures.
Thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure. All right, Nisreen, thank you very much for taking your time out today. I really appreciate it. Keep rocking. Anything I can do, as always. Everybody else will do this in a week. Thanks, Nisreen. Really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Rick. Have a good day.
Thank you. All right, you too. Bye, everybody.